I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corgi Shank. So tired, so wired.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon Ditto.
Ditto. A literal ditto.
Literal ditto. I am not actually
Gotta
me.
catch them all.
You can't see.
This is,
Listeners can't see, but I have beady little black eyes because I'm not really me.
Yeah.
I'm a ditto me.
Yeah, but you're doing a really good job at it. You had me believe in it,
Yeah.
honestly. Yeah. Like, truly.
You know who's really believing it? Look at that segue. Our guest.
Oh.
We are joined by the incredible.
You mean make believe in it?
What?
What?
God, someone shoot us. Our guest this week is the incredible Ben MartinMooney. Ben, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the
Thank you. Happy to be here.
show.
Thank you for having me on.
Woo.
As we all
So
sit here
excited.
just beyond exhausted and fully wired out
Yep.
of our minds. This is gonna be great. I'm so excited.
This would be great.
Yeah.
Great show.
Hey, the old podcast energy was having a beer and then podcasting. The new podcast energy is I've been awake for too many hours.
Yes, pretty much. A late night coffee and regret.
Yep.
I am excited to talk to you, Ben, about all the cool stuff you do. I'm very grateful to have hung out with you and your incredible partner in person at PAX East very recently.
great
And that
time
was a blast.
it was.
So much fun.
Yes, and I am grateful to have been at your house for a prep party.
Which is also a
sleepover,
lot of fun.
which is also a
Yeah.
lot of fun.
And we're going to talk a
The
little.
Venn diagram of this guest
Right.
is a circle.
Circle.
We're friends.
We're going to talk with Ben more about Amateurs Productions and all the other cool stuff that you and your incredible partner do in a bit. But to start this episode, as we always do, well, technically the episode's already started, but in the next part of the start,
But this segment is brought to you
Bye.
by us talking about the last thing we watched.
oh, we're hitting 1,000 or some phrase.
Ooh.
We're going to talk about
Is this helping? Am I helping
I think
right
so.
now?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm having
Um,
fun.
Good. That's all that really matters at the end of the day. We're going to do what we always do and talk about the most recent thing we watched. And I, as always, will go first. And Rachel, I have some very good news for you and our loyal
Tell
listeners.
me about it.
I have closed the circle. I've completed the journey. I have seen all of the modern Godzilla films. That's right. Today I have brought Godzilla vs. Kong as my most
Oh.
recent thing I've watched.
Boy, okay. Before you get into this,
Yes.
have we talked about Shin Godzilla?
Yes, I think you.
You and
I
I.
think you brought it, but I mean, I've seen
I
it.
did bring it, but had you seen it at the time?
Yes, I saw Shin Godzilla ages ago when it first came out.
Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure that we were like on the same page, that it's brilliant. Tell me about this one though.
So
I just always have to think about Shin Godzilla anytime we talk about that big bad kaiju baby.
that's fair. I mean,
It's important.
I know that you were excited for me to get to this because you had seen this and you had a lot of thoughts on it. I mean, look, I've said along this.
the one word.
this,
I think.
this is the wrestling match
Which one gets? Yeah, this is the wrestling match one where I think Godzilla suplexes King Kong.
I think so at one point, yeah.
Off a barge.
Yeah.
From the
It's
top rope.
great.
From the top rope.
Very
From the top
cool.
row, just like Hurricane Run as the shit out of Godzilla or something. I don't know.
So like,
It's great.
so like these films, like I mean, I've enjoyed all of them. I thought that the the first Godzilla was good and interesting and a unique take on introducing us to the Titans in this world. I thought that Kong Skull Island was actually the best of them. I thought it was just the best frame story, the most interesting. I think the most intriguing cast, and like kind of just the most intriguing examination of not only King Kong as a character, but also like it darts away from like stereotypes that previous versions of King Kong have had, which was nice. And then Destroy All Monsters, was it? King Kong, or no, it was Godzilla. I can't remember if it was Destroy All Monsters or King of the Monsters, which was the third one, was fine. It was a lot of monsters fighting in the dark. It was an excuse to have King Ghidorah, who was a terrifying monster, and they actually, I think, did really well with. And also Millie Bobby Brown, who I thought was fantastic in the film, and just further proves why I think she's an incredible actress. This one, like, it's funny. All of them have had a more serious-ish tone. Like, there are comedic moments and comedic characters, but for the most part, the tone has been pretty serious. Whereas this one was a cross between a wrestling match and a comic book movie. Yeah. And I didn't hate it. Like, it was often goofy and a little silly and over the top. None of the twists were that hard to see coming. I mean, so I'll say here, because this movie's been out for a while, if you do not want spoilers for Godzilla vs. Kong, I would skip ahead, I don't know, 4 minutes, probably be safe, 4 to 5 minutes. Yeah. But like, Ben, have you seen any of these films?
I have not, but I'm not worried about spoilers. So
fantastic.
Lay it on.
I don't think if I told you that Mechagodzilla showed up in one of these films, you would be that surprised.
That's too much.
Too much, too far.
Ruined the entire all of it.
Over.
Yeah,
everything. Now. I'm just horrible.
Go cry.
The entire franchise.
The entire franchise. The funniest thing about Mechagodzilla as a character in this is I think it is a unique take on Mechagodzilla, but like when they first show him and you're supposed to be like, oh my god, it's Mechagodzilla, I went, okay, like duh, big evil corporation framing Godzilla for attacks. Wonder why they would do something like that.
Like, feels very out of left field for what corporations like to do. I don't think.
Yeah, I don't understand.
Yeah, corporations are definitely our friends and
completely.
Definitely don't have it out for us and do not wish to siphon all of our time in exchange for this like fake getting to live paper.
And for sure deserve to be treated as, you know, like fellow individuals. Yeah.
Yes, and should absolutely be allowed to spend vast amounts of their wealth lobbying,
just like
for policies that perpetuate their power. Absolutely,
just because
we love corporations.
Because we can also, all the rest of us individually wield the same amount of fiscal power, like so obviously
we definitely haven't structured ourselves in a wild way where some people can amass just a lot of everything and a lot of the rest of us can't imagine.
Rachel, that's such a preposterous idea. I don't even know why you'd put it forth.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I found the Mechagodzilla moment in this movie so surprising.
So
that
shocking.
Would never happen. So shocking. I will say I love to hate the moment where they're like Robo-Godzilla and then one actor's like, no, it's Mechagodzilla.
My favorite thing about that kid so too is that I couldn't figure out where I recognized him from, and then it hit me. He's from Deadpool 2. He's the little kid who was who's going to destroy the world that Cable went back in time to kill. I can't remember the mutant's name, but it's the same actor.
Oh, yeah.
He's just playing such a total dork in this, and it's very funny. I mean, look, I thought the film was fun. It was a popcorn flick, right? And the interesting thing to me is that they from the beginning they framed King Kong as the hero, which makes sense to me, right? Especially since, like in this film, one of the little girl natives is able to communicate with him, and like, but it's very funny because he has like hero themes. Like they play a lot of classic rock whenever he's being introduced on screen at moments, which is fun, but also kind of silly. I think it adds to the kind of wrestling ambiance of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like the whole fight that Rachel was referring to when they're bringing Kong across the ocean to try and find where the Titans came from to harness the energy of the Titans. He's on the deck of one of the ships and Godzilla attacks because they're ancient rivals. And like they just fight from ship to ship and in the water. And it's just very much like a wrestling match. It's bizarre. And then later on when they fight in Hong Kong, it's the same thing. Also just kind of think it's funny that it's Hong Kong instead of Japan. Like, it just, sure. Like I get why. It's just, I was like, of all the cities, why Hong Kong? Anyway, I guess because that's where the company that they're attacking is based on. But it, like the main narrative of this, I think, is just as kind of convoluted as the previous movies.
Oh yeah, don't ask me to recount the plot of this movie. I just went, you mean the one with the suplex?
Right.
That one.
But like, I mean, I will say that I think the computer graphics for these characters have come a long way. I thought that in the first film, I mean, think about the first film as an example. Like most of Godzilla's fights and the creatures he's fighting are at night or in the rain or in the dark. Like they wanted to like obscure as much of the CG as they could. But there was a lot of fighting in the daylight in this film, and like they don't look real, right? Like our brains still can kind of tell the difference, but there were moments where King Kong really did look like a giant ape, and same for Godzilla, looked like this giant lizard. Like, I feel like there were some close-ups where the detail was really impressive. I don't think it was the best CG I've ever seen, but it was definitely impressive, especially comparatively to some of the not great CG we've seen in the last few years, especially from Marvel. And so I was impressed by that. That said, every time Mechagodzilla was on screen, he looked like a giant action figure, like, which to me is great growing up playing with toys like that. But like, it looked very like giant Transformer toy. And I think it's because they had to redesign him in a way to look like this modern version of Godzilla, which looks different, of course, from the Toho and older Godzillas. And so I think all of it was just kind of goofy from the bat. But Rachel, you're right. Like, I think this movie at its core is a popcorn flick where you want to see giant monsters wrestle, and like they do, and it's entertaining.
Yeah, the rest of it's kind of like we just need to have cool down periods between because it couldn't just be 2 hours of, like, these two guys punching each other. You'd get bored, you'd get tired, so they gotta like fight a little bit, and then Millie Bobby Brown does something diverting, and then they fight again, and you love it. You love to see it. Don't ask me what Millie Bobby Brown did. There was a tunnel. Yeah,
there was a tunnel. That's right.
And
tunnel question mark?
Millie Bobby Brown found the Mechagodzilla,
correct,
right?
Yes. All three of them did.
They figured it out.
Yeah.
And there's another plot that's also happening. There's two plots that are also happening.
So the discovery of what the company is doing, the evil corporation is doing, is one plot. And the other one is the evil corporation wants to get to where the Titans came from, this Hollow Earth area.
Right, there's Hollow Earth in this one. I cannot remember this movie.
Yeah.
I can only remember the suplex.
I think that we talked about this a lot when Derek and Charlotte were on the pod talking about their podcast Castle Bravo, which is a Godzilla retrospective podcast that I was recently a guest on. The thing about Godzilla films is like they can have messaging, and a lot of them often did, especially in the early days, and then some others as they come, like in and out. The Godzilla franchise has had messages, kind of been fluff, messages, fluff, and like I think what's interesting about this American production of Godzilla, especially compared to like the Godzilla 2000 and like how much that was just meant to be a blockbuster in all the wrong ways. I think what this does get right is that it did have a good foundation, right? I think a lot of franchises have learned some good lessons from Marvel as far as setting foundations. And I think that first movie with Bryan Cranston really does set the foundation for this world where these creatures exist. And then Kong Skull Island was just all seed setting, right? It was all of this, like, here's this world where this creature's been living for a while. He's clearly not from here. He's lost to the world. What happens if we bring him back? That kind of thing. And then it just is kind of stompy monsters from there. But I think you needed those movies of like setting up this world to do that. And also a lot of people like to complain, why do they make like the things about the humans in these films? But I think these American Godzilla films thread that needle better because a lot of those moments in the later films can be completely forgettable. But I think if you remember them, they are interesting and they are fun. But if you don't, you still get the main thread of suplex throwing monsters around.
Yeah. Also, why is JR such an important part of the wrestling community?
Right.
He's a commentator.
Right.
He gives color to what's going on. You kind of need some humans around to be like, whoa, Godzilla, so big.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Right.
Oh my, like a gun is only interesting from the perspective of who the gun is pointed at. Like, if there's no anyone experiencing the awe of what is occurring, then our little minds are just like, this is on a box in a dark room. None of it matters. Like,
right.
You have to have.
It's like if Kong punches Godzilla in the forest and there's no one around to see it, did it ever actually happen?
Was it epic?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Right. Well, and I think
I need a banana for scale here.
I mean, I think that's the major difference also between these films and like the Transformers films. Like the complaints about the human characters in that I think are more valid because Michael Bay thinks that we need the perspective of the humans to understand the Transformers, but the Transformers are personified. They have personalities, and so we don't really need it. But the reason the humans in the cartoons of the Transformers were so important is because it gave perspective. But the humans in the movies were never really about perspective until a little later on. Some of that they got right. But like, and then I hear Bumblebee is great. I've still yet to see it. But like, I hear they've kind of gotten it right with that one. Whereas this film, I think it started with the humans leading to like give us a thread, and then I think then it ends now with this kind of big bombastic thing. And this was the first of these films to not have a post-credits scene. So like my theory is that it ends with this, which I wouldn't be upset about. Would I want another film in this franchise because I like the monsters? Sure. I don't think we need one. I think this 4-movie arc was actually pretty strong, and it ended with a big popcorn eating blockbuster, which I think is a pretty big finish to have for this. It didn't feel cheap in the way it might for other franchises. I will say, though, no one will top Ken Watanabe in the first film, though, saying, let them fight. Like, that line is the best line in the entire franchise.
Yeah, agreed. But also, I would say, like, Godzilla has a penchant for incoming and outgoing of, like, the popular culture.
Sure.
Like, we've had Godzilla movies occur through decades at this point. So, you know, I think it's fine to like end this phase and then in maybe like a couple more years be like, hi.
Yeah.
It's me, Godzilla. We're doing another one.
Sure. Well, I think.
Let's go.
Well, and
this time you got cell phones. I am on TikTok. It's me, Godzilla. What's up, you geeks and gamers?
I mean, I think also like, I love Toho Godzilla. I grew up on that stuff. I think that, what we tried to do in 2000s with poor Matthew Broderick was to cheapen what Godzilla was and to just make him a spectacle. I think this 4-movie franchise did a little of both in kind of the best ways, and then ended with the spectacle while making like King Kong this kind of hero, right? And I think it would be interesting if we pursued King Kong maybe in like a TV series or something where we got to see like him living in the Hollow Earth, you know, where the Titans came from, and like figuring out like
give me some like Land Before Time King Kong bullshit.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, but we'll see. I mean, all in all, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. I think that the cast is great for what they were hired to do. I don't think it's revolutionizing film, but I think not all films have to. I think some can just be fun popcorn flicks. I think this is one of the better ones.
Yeah. Well, Matt.
Yes.
Oh, shit. I'm going to mess up the order. I can never remember which order this goes in. If you had to sum up this movie where Godzilla and King Kong fight each other, and it's either Godzilla versus Kong or Kong versus Godzilla, and I can never remember which, how would you describe this one in 3 words? And you can't use any of those words I just said. Mostly just Kong and Godzilla.
Fair enough. So I can use verses if I want.
No.
Okay.
I would prefer if you didn't.
Fair enough. I would say Giant Monster Smackdown.
Giant Monster Smackdown.
Smackdown is 1 word, not 2 words.
Yeah, no, like the franchise.
Like the franchise of the WWE Smackdown.
The series.
The series, yeah, exactly.
Amazing. I'm now writing these down.
Oh.
So Case can do them correctly.
Oh, great.
I'm going to give them to Case.
Oh.
Written without these nonsense.
These nonsense periods.
These nonsense periods that he keeps proceeding to do.
That's very kind of you.
That.
That's very kind of you.
Yeah, it is very kind of me, considering all of the slights that I have suffered at the hands of Case Aiken.
A man known for his slights.
Yeah, and cruelty.
Slings and arrows and cruelty.
Not even going to go easier on him since he just had technically his partner had a baby.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
just stood there.
He was in the vicinity. He was there at the beginning and then showed up again at the end.
Yeah.
He probably did some stuff in the middle to like help out a little bit, I guess. You know?
I'm guessing.
Yeah, and is definitely like in charge of a person now.
Yeah.
So,
that's pretty wild.
There is that.
That is pretty wild. Well, Rachel, now we move on to you, my dear friend, my kind friend. What have you brought as your thing you've most recently watched?
I'm excited to announce that I also have closed a loop.
Oh, man.
Of a movie franchise. Beloved by many. Mentioned here on this show multiple times. Babies, your boy saw John Wick 4.
I have not yet.
Neither have I.
So, spoiler free, best you can.
Spoiler free, best I can. John Wick kicks more ass.
I'm sure. I do have a question.
Okay, I will do my best to answer it. I am in a daze of a lot of things that happened since I watched this.
Fair enough.
So
I'm just curious.
I may not recall everything.
I'm just curious if It was as heartbreaking as I imagined it would be to see Lance Reddick on screen, knowing what we know now. Or did the movie's momentum kind of make you not think about it and kind of forget about it?
Wait, what happened?
Lance Reddick passed.
I did not know that.
Rachel?
Really?
You didn't know this?
You didn't know? Oh my God.
No.
I hate to tell you that on the podcast now. Yeah, he passed away a few weeks ago.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was unaware, so I can say it did not affect my viewing
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah,
but
this was the last film that he made. Yeah, he passed a couple weeks ago. It's unclear what the cause of death was, but yeah, sad, super sad.
that is super sad.
Yeah, he was in his 60s.
He was
late
pretty
50s.
young.
He wasn't.
While you guys
Yeah.
are sort of chatting about it, I'll pull it up and I'll get the deets.
Well, I'm sorry for you to have gotten that news here.
Wow.
But I have to imagine that this film was just as entertaining as the previous films.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Or as John Wick likes to say, yeah.
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 I'm glad that it does what it does. It's bittersweet,
Okay.
like stuff and stuff. It hits hard.
Okay.
I never thought I would scream about a set of stairs.
Huh. Interesting.
Piqued my curiosity.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Also, he was 60 when he passed. Lance,
Yeah.
not John Wick.
So young.
John Wick is still alive and kicking.
And punching.
Cool.
Stabbing.
So did you see it?
Punching and arm dragging so many baddies. Wow, wrestling school has taught me things. It's like arm drag, headlock takeover.
I'm actually
Holy
excited to
socks.
see this film because it'll be the first one I've seen in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah and I watched the other three on our old TV, and so I assume the theater experience is pretty incredible for this film.
Yeah, it's very, very fun. The scope of it, of course,
Yeah.
John Wick. The color palette is gorgeous. The sets are phenomenal. The choreography is rad as hell. And it just is, it continues that sort of like, let's build a legacy, an interesting world in which these characters occupy surrounding all of this. And also like, John gets to get revenge on things that aren't just like a puppy and a car.
Nice.
Like he's built up to something. This is very much like that zenith like arc of who and what is John Wick, like
That's
good
awesome.
on him. It's very good.
Are there some
It's a
good
good time.
cameos in it too, or like celebrity like pop-ins in this one, or was it mostly just
Maybe, but I'm so unfamiliar with celebrities at this point. I rewatched John Wick 3 to get ready for this one because my partner hadn't seen 3. She'd only seen 1 and 2
Right.
at this point. So we watched 3, and that tall guy in the first bit when the clock's about to start ticking and they're in the library, I didn't realize he was like in basketball or
Yeah.
something. I was just like, wow, they hired a really tall guy. I love that they got this really tall guy. What a cool
That's news to
dynamic.
me.
And then it was like, oh, a famous guy, I guess, cameo. So
amazing?
I'm sure there are. Yeah, the set pieces again, just great. John Wick doesn't kill anyone with a horse in this one though.
It's unfortunate.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm trying to think of other questions I can ask that aren't
There's
spoilers.
only so much I can say,
Yeah.
because like I start talking about it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's what they did with this character.
Yeah.
That's what they selected with.
I mean, isn't it
that,
funny that we
know?
have this major action franchise led by Keanu Reeves that actually has important lore and like an
Yeah.
important world building? Like
Yes.
that hotel and the whole crime syndicate, like it's just fascinating what they built from so little. Like it's not even explicitly stated all that often. A lot of it is very much just world building through the experience and what we see, which is fascinating to me.
It's a really wonderful way of going about doing it too, because it's as much left to the imagination of the viewer as it is to anything else, which is it's fun. You can like make assumptions and whatnot, never potentially be proven wrong.
I assume Keanu is phenomenal as always.
Yes, just giving it his all in a way. I'm shitting you not. The best way I can describe this movie is like my personal connection to like combat sports now and like fight choreography and just being like, hey, if Keanu Reeves can do this shit, so can I.
There you go.
You got this.
Hell yeah.
Like I watched this right before I went to wrestling school, and like watching a movie before going to work out is kind of exhausting, but I was also like, you got this. Keanu Reeves can do it, so can you.
I love that. I love that it was motivating.
Yeah, it was motivating and also very tender in weird ways.
I can see that, though. I think that all of the movies have had tender moments when you least kind of expect them.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything else that you want to tell us about this film that's not spoilery?
Everyone is acting their pants off.
I'm sure. I mean, it's an all-star cast.
Yeah, everyone's just in. Everyone's just
in.
in.
And pantsless.
Obviously.
And pantsless. Yeah, no. Everybody's having a good time. Everyone's doing a really good job.
I love that.
Everybody's feeling their emotions.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
please go see it. You should.
I
You
will.
should treat yourself.
It's part of my
Watch
vacation
all 4
plan.
of them. Like, go. I was also talking to the listeners. You should go
sure.
see it.
I mean, obviously.
It's very fun.
The listeners are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel, if you had to sum up
Shit.
John Wick
Okay,
Chapter 4 in just 3 words, and you couldn't use the words John Wick Chapter or 4, what 3 words would you choose?
Modern spaghetti western.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
John Wick's always had sort of like a westerny vibe.
Right, yes.
Like, I'm not making this up. This one kind of super, for me, leaned into it. You know, like, you know, like this man on a mission kind of deal. You know, that's all I can say because I was gonna say another thing and I was like,
Nope, spoilers.
whoop. But yeah, go check it out. It's
Awesome.
Wonderful. I had a real fun time, despite not really wanting to see a movie that day.
Right.
John Wick still got me.
Amazing. Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to report back to you once I've seen it as well. Famously, to the lore of this podcast, a franchise I started watching because of Rachel's mom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is important to the lore of this podcast.
Truly.
Well, now it is our incredible guest's turn. Ben,
Hello.
welcome.
Thank you.
What is the most recent thing that you have watched that you have brought to share with the class?
It was the new D&D movie.
Nice.
You saw
Honor,
it.
did.
Honor Among Thieves.
I did. D&D Honor Among
Oh,
Thieves.
I'm gonna see that this weekend because I have to for my other
For
podcast.
content.
There you go.
For content. For content. I saw John Wick for content too.
I mean,
But I saw it because I also loved it.
I'm very excited to go see that. It's like that. Honestly, it was like
It's real good.
the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves was like #1 because it's what
Yeah.
and
kind of what you do.
yeah, like a little bit, yeah.
Kind of. At the very least, it's like I gotta scope out that
Yeah, you know.
competition.
Chris Pine, love that guy.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
great.
But John Wick is like right there. I love that series. It's so wonderful. Yeah. So based on your reactions, I'm guessing that neither of you have seen it yet.
Correct.
Okay, cool. So I too will do my absolute utmost to be entirely spoiler free, which should be pretty easy. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
enjoyed it a
Oh my gosh.
lot.
My other co-host got to see an early screener of it before like the VFX were done. Like it was just like stand in like rough cut kind of deal, and he was like, "Get ready, get ready." The Dungeons and Dragons movie.
Well, and also, like, you recently were on Another Pass with your incredible partner talking about the bad D&D movie that is particularly terrible. And so, like, with that perspective, so, I mean, I guess without being too spoilery, why does this one work and that other one didn't? I mean, besides it being badly written, badly acted, badly VFX.
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
all.
much just like thought up by a 19-year-old who was just like, "Hey, I'm doing a report about Dungeons and Dragons," and then was like, "Hi, a movie," and then no one would take this movie from him. No one would helm this movie. So this kid had to helm this movie and he's like a
Yeah.
teen. He's like
He was a child.
Yeah.
Like truly a
He was
child.
a
when he-
child.
Like, okay.
They gave him the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and he was a child.
Which is a mind-boggling decision to make in the first place.
Right.
Yeah. I think, like, let's start with some big differences. One, there was like a whole production team and like writers and directors, and they had a budget. The visual effects were not from looking like before the 80s. Like truly, like Star Wars has better visual effects than the 2000 movie does.
Right.
And that's like not even a stretch. That is just objective fact. What is the so there weren't any like overtly racist anythings that were written in, which is also a great start.
That's always good. Yeah.
I think the thing that I loved the most, the thing that like really brought me the most joy from the experience, was that like watching the movie, you're like, oh yeah, there are moments in this where like in your mind's eye, you can see a DM face palming because the party has just done something like incredibly stupid or incredibly smart, or like the DM is like, hey, that stick in your bag? It's now important for reasons. And like things where it's just like you've now so royally screwed up everything that I had planned that I have to give you a gimme so that you can continue on to the rest of the things that I have planned. Which as a DM, all of those things are truly just so ingrained in my experience playing Dungeons and Dragons. And so I really loved it for its authenticity to the like hijinks and buffoonery that a party is so prone to. I will say I also like really love their dedication to 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 like class and character tropes without it being a disservice to the character themselves. So like you've got this barbarian woman who is a delightful character. I love that she's not like overly muscular and nor is she like this enormous person. She's just like kind of a regular looking woman who they give really cool fight choreography to. Like a bunch of that has already been in the previews, so referencing that feels very,
Sure.
yeah.
Also, you can hardly spoil that barbarians fly into a rage and they become real good punch
Wait,
boys.
people know that about them? Oh,
Yeah.
I thought we were keeping that on the DL.
Oh, sorry.
It's-
Is that,
I think, yeah, don't spoil D&D for
is that a
people. They
trade
don't,
secret?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
no.
Don't spoil the experience of D&D. They'll come for you.
Uh, so she's wonderful, and like they do a bit of the, sort of playing with, oh, well, if you're a barbarian, your intelligence probably isn't that high. And so, there's like some jokes that are made that are, things are taken like a little bit literally, but they do it in a way that it's not like, oh, me, the dumb barbarian, me hit with stick now. And I really loved that. I thought it was really wonderful. I like Chris Pine. I'm gonna be honest. I just enjoy him.
Yeah.
He's
Sure.
like, what a great pick for a bard. Also like Hugh Grant. I did not know up until like the day before we went to go see it that Hugh Grant was in the movie. So that was lovely because I just enjoyed him.
Yeah. He's genuinely great and everything.
So much fun. Like, I remember like I think the first movie I ever saw him in was About a Boy, and I've just kind of like loved him ever since.
Yeah.
Gosh, what else? It's like they do some really wonderful like campy stuff that is like a face off between two magic users, and it's like a little bit like got like a Western shootout vibe.
Neat.
There's just like cool stuff. You've got your displacer beasts, you've got gelatinous cubes. Like they do a really good job of being like D&D. Here it is. It's fun.
Right.
It's a guy from Gallivant in it who is he's one of the
I loved Gallivant.
I could talk for years about that show.
Ugh.
So Rachel,
Yes.
Matt, have you seen Gallivant?
I've seen bits and pieces, but it was not a show that I was hooked on. But my spouse really enjoyed it.
I adored it. I fell into it through the psych pipeline because I just loved Timothy Odmanson.
Yes. Love
Yeah.
it.
I almost called him Timothy Oliphant, and I was like,
Different
nope, that is
guy.
incorrect.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yes.
Different.
So when they go to Sid's family's house, the balding squire with like the obnoxious laugh, is in this movie, and
Oh
I
my
saw him a
God.
couple times. And I was like, why do I know this guy's face? And I was like,
Who's that
it's
guy?
Galavant. Which, like, anything that ties back to Galavant in my mind is like, you're off to a great start,
Yeah.
right? I love it. Um,
Yeah, anything that I've specifically been like, it's like Dungeons and
yeah,
Dragons, but with a
yeah,
musical in it, you
yeah.
know.
Oh gosh, what else? There's dungeons. There's a
Yeah.
dragon.
Wow.
Yeah,
How are the visual effects? They're looking
they are
good.
fun. They are very
Good.
fun. The fight choreography is cool. The paladin character is A, just ridiculously handsome. And
Hmm.
B,
Is that Renee?
it's the guy with the like he's got like short dreads. I'm blanking on his name. I don't know the actor's name.
I think he was in Bridgerton.
I haven't watched Bridgerton, so I couldn't tell you. Oh. Uh,
Do or don't watch Bridgerton. Probably
probably
don't.
don't. Fair enough. But he's wonderful and like very literal and like doesn't. There's like a lot of just sort of ongoing jokes because like of course you've got a bard who really loves like idioms and whatnot, and he's just like on the opposite end of that spectrum and is like, I don't do that. I don't find them funny. And so there's this like wonderful like interaction between the two of them repeatedly. Uh,
It sounds like the film it would be fun for people who've never played
Yeah.
D&D, but for those who have, like, it seems like it's chock full of good references to people who play the game regularly.
Very much so. Yeah. There's even they toss in a Critical Role reference for folks who have watched the newest campaign. They do a really good job of just being like, hey, if you like playing D&D, you're gonna like watching D&D.
Yeah.
And what I will say is one of the things for me about Dungeons and Dragons, the game being turned into a movie, is that like combat specifically happens in increments of 6 seconds, right? Like everybody
Right.
acts, but it technically happens in that span. And so I've always been interested in like how people decide to show that happening in real time. So like you've got the Critical Role show, and how they choose to do it. Obviously, animated, very different.
Right.
But it's very fun to see how they handled that, and I really enjoyed their take. I thought it was a lot of fun. I'm not going to say anything else about it because I don't want to ruin things.
Yeah.
But yeah, also freaking owl bears. Who doesn't love an owl bear?
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
God, I live for an
Yeah.
owlbear.
Awesome. I mean, I'm excited to see it. It's on the short list of stuff to go see. I'm a Chris Pine fan. I've had a crush on Chris Pine since Star
who
Trek.
hasn't?
So-
Like
Right. Yeah. He
yeah.
was like, people who complained about that movie, I was like, that's fine. There are things to complain about the reboot, but not Chris Pine. He's the perfect Kirk. He's handsome. He's cocky. He's obnoxious. Like
He's
he was
handsome.
he's handsome.
Did
Yeah,
we mention?
perfect for
Did we
that
mention also
role.
that he's handsome?
Handsome? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well, Ben, if you had to sum up
Yeah.
the Dungeons and Dragons movie, D&D, Honor Among Thieves, I keep wanting to give it. There's a Uncharted game title that's similar. I think it's just Among Thieves, and so my brain keeps going there. But if you could sum up this film in
Just us thieves.
just us thieves in just 3 words, and you couldn't use the words Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among, or Thieves. You can't use any of those words.
Yeah, those are off the table. Sorry.
What 3 words would you use to describe this film?
It's your party.
Ooh, okay. I like that. It's your
Ooh,
party.
That works on
Yeah.
levels.
Yeah, it does. That's smart.
Ooh.
Good job.
You should like write things. You
Yeah.
sound real
God,
smart
that
and
feels like
creative.
I honestly I feel like I'd just forget.
Like-
I'd like write stuff down and then I'd forget about it.
Hey.
I feel like that was an inside gag that I'm not getting, but it's
it
fine.
truly was, and it's like, it's literally like the most fine that anything's ever been, and it's just like it's cool, dude.
Just Matt, for a little context, in our most recent episode, I had 2 things that I had written down previously to do, and I lost both of them in the shuffle of improv. I was like,
Amazing.
oh, can I
love
swear on
that.
here? I just realized that.
Yes.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
you can.
absolutely.
I haven't
It's fine.
Constantly.
processed
Yeah.
if you guys have, and then I just, I dropped the F-bomb. I was like,
I
don't
might
know
have.
if
I don't
I
fucking
did
allowed.
when Matt was trying to ask me for the 3-word description.
That's
I was
true.
like, shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
Because
true.
I was just like, how am I gonna describe this one?
Well, speaking of cursing and brighting, I don't know. And
weirdos yelling.
Ben, you of course one of the co-founders of Amateurs Productions, along with the incredible Katie, who's a previous guest. For those who maybe this is their first episode ever of listening to this show and missed Katie's episode previously somehow, tell us a little bit about what Amateurs Productions is.
Sure. We have a third co-founder, which is our friend Zeki.
Yes.
Yeah, so we are primarily well, I guess we're not technically a Dungeons and Dragons actual play anymore because we just switched over to Pathfinder as of the end of our last session. But primarily, that's what we do. We play the tabletop role-playing games. We were very lucky to have Rachel as one of our cast members. And then, like, sort of in addition to that, we, occasionally will do like other games like Divinity Original Sin, or we played World of Warcraft for a bit. Just earlier this evening, I was playing Demonologist with a couple of our good friends, which is a scary game, which is what I'm famously not good with. Which was picked out specifically because of what I described as my fears, which was the supernatural and the unexplained things that I can't.
Yeah, that demon shit.
I got chased down and killed by one, and it was terrifying.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
And apparently, every person who goes into ghost hunting has the capacity to run about 30 feet and then is totally out of breath. So it's like extra scary when you're like, come on, sprint. I'm hitting the sprint button. And then it didn't work. Yeah. Oof. I screamed a lot. Not going to lie. But we also, try to do like somewhat educational things from time to time, with sort of all the things that happened with Wizards of the Coast earlier this year and people being like, hey, maybe I should be checking out some other games. We did and have been doing a like learning Pathfinder 2E with a good friend of ours, Jason, who is just like the encyclopedia of all podcasts relating to Pathfinder on the internet. Like he's the guy. He knows all of them.
Amazing.
Which is incredible. And trying to, sort of like provide some idea of like, okay, D&D, but like this is a different system. Let's play it. Let's learn it. Let's have a good time. And then the other thing that we've started doing recently is a podcast here with you guys, which is also very exciting. So we stream that live. We record it live. It's called How the Fuck, where we talk to folks who have done like really incredible things in their fields, and ask them, for like a very real review of what it's like to be in their field. And so our first episode, we had the voice of Wonder Woman, which is like just ridiculously cool. And please cut this. I'm blanking on her name. I'm gonna have to look it up real quick.
That's okay. I got you.
Rachel.
I know how to make us sound like we're having a streamlined conversation.
Thank you.
I mean, boy,
Despite
do you.
pauses. I do it sometimes.
Yeah. You do it sometimes.
Yeah, so
I find it makes me feel good. So thank you. Hey, thank you for the future dopamine when I nail this.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so we had Susan Eisenberg on, which is was like totally transparent about like how hard it can be, even as somebody who's been in the industry for a while now and objectively is incredibly successful. Right? Like you're the voice of Wonder Woman. That's a big deal, right? Like that's and she talked about like being a freelancer and voice acting and the fact that even at this point in her career it's still a lot of work. She's got to like go out, and it's not like things just sort of like are just handed down to her and it's like, hey, we want you for this thing. It's still going out there and actually working for it. And we really appreciated that she was so upfront. So that was super cool. And we've got another one scheduled for later this month. We're going to be talking to we haven't announced him yet, so I'm not going to say anything, but he does PR and sort of like in Hollywood in general, and is very, very cool, and is also sort of like behind the scenes, which will be a fun peek behind like all the things that we all see and like, okay, what goes on, behind all of that to sort of keep things running and moving and whatnot. So we're very excited about that upcoming episode.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're excited for How the Fuck to join the network officially.
Yeah.
We have announced that you are joining us, but we haven't. Nothing is up on the site yet. But if you want to find out more about How the Fuck, you can go to Amateurs Productions Twitch page because you can find all of the content there. You guys have a YouTube page also,
We do.
right?
Yeah, it is also Amateurish Productions.
Right. But more on that from the audio side and the podcast side in the coming weeks, months. So folks can look forward to that. Talk a little bit about that. So that also is hosted by all three of the founders, you, Zeki, and Katie. Talk about how the idea of this podcast came to be, right? Like it seems pretty kind of like duh, right? Let's do a podcast about people asking people how the fuck they do the job they do. But like, where did this idea come from?
So it came out of our experience, over the last 8 or 9 months, right? Like starting a Twitch channel and kind of getting into space and realizing that we really didn't know anything at all. From like really some basic stuff like how do you stream with a group of people on Twitch who are all sort of scattered up and down the Eastern Seaboard? And then from there, as we sort of like were figuring things out, it was like, okay, but like, what about doing panels at conventions, or like if we wanted to do voice acting, or are there things that we should be learning from voice actors, even if we don't, just for the sake of improving as performers. And at some point, I don't know whose idea it was, but I think we were just sort of, Katie and Zeki and I were on the phone having a phone call, and it kind of organically came to fruition. Where it was like, we should ask people who've been doing this, because you can go and Google how do I get a panel at X, Y, or Z con or whatever, but the information that you get might be dated back who knows how long, and it might not be terribly accurate.
Right.
Or you might go through like 15 different things and each one of them has a different answer. And it was like, gosh, it'd be nice if people who were sort of well known, sort of almost vetted by virtue of that fame or success, and just ask them like, hey, how do you do that thing?
Yeah.
And that's sort of where it came from. And we talked about it with a couple of different folks, and they're like, oh, that actually sounds pretty interesting. So we're sort of like, are we crazy, or is this like potentially a good idea? And then it became, we talked with you guys about it, and you were like, that doesn't sound like the worst thing I've ever heard. And we're like, cool, that sounds awesome. And
yay, we're enablers.
Yay. And that's like,
hey, listener, you should start a podcast.
Do it.
Sure, why not?
Yeah. At some point, we're gonna be talking with Matt about podcast stuff, and
yeah, that's true. Could be a future episode. Who knows?
Yeah. And then Rachel, once you're world famous and have taken over the entire wrestling scene, we're gonna be talking about how the fuck that happens. So, chop.
Rachel's looking around like, who me?
Get on it. Hurry up and take your time.
I'm falling in love with the journey.
And you know what?
How about being the master of fucking switching disciplines? Because I got that on lock.
Hey, that's honestly.
I'm gonna do this now for a while. see where that goes.
How the fuck do you ADHD?
Spectacularly.
Hyphenates.
Hyphenates. Lots of hyphenates. That's how.
Literally how.
Yeah.
You're a hyphenate. Podcaster, performer, wrestler, musician, hyphenate.
Love it.
So much hyphenates. That's awesome. I mean, what's really fun about Amateurs Productions is I feel like a lot of the stuff that you guys do is really approachable. Was that by design from the beginning, is to kind of like let it be kind of entry level for anyone who wants to get into this kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even so, I guess it sort of started with this idea that transparency is sometimes a thing that is lacking. Whether it's like just sort of being upfront about what your process is, or being upfront about where you stand on social issues. There's a lot of times where it's like, for better or for worse, and this is not a critique of anyone who maybe does take a little bit more of a reserved stance on things. Like, that's your prerogative, and we like fully respect that. But as people, this felt like it was more authentic to who we are, to just sort of say like, these are the things that we believe in, and one of them is just being very, very transparent. So, as we were creating the world for our campaign, we talked about it on stream live like a number of times so that people knew, what our inspiration was for the lore, and like when we were coming up with names for things, where did those come from? Is it based on a language? Is it a word that we've made up on the fly? As we've gone through the process of figuring out the dynamic of the group, we've been really upfront with folks, and had another streams we're talking about like the difficulties in finding your like party dynamic when you're on stream, and it's very different, right? Like playing with your friends in the comfort of your own home truly is playing the game of D&D or Pathfinder or whatever tabletop RPG you happen to be playing at that moment. Playing on a stream is very different because yes, you're playing it, but also you do have to make sure that it's entertaining enough that people don't fall asleep, because then they're never going to come back. And that's the thing.
Unless they're into that.
True. I guess
Right,
if you want to fall
sure.
asleep to it, like hell yeah.
Just play it a bunch.
Yeah.
Play it on
Yeah,
repeat.
why not, right?
Watch minutes, baby.
We like it. And so yeah, we wanted to be really transparent with folks and allow our community as it grew to feel like they could ask us questions about what was happening, in game, out of game, whether it's one of the other things other projects that we're doing, and feel like they were aware of what was going on and could also like make suggestions, and like be part of the process of creating it. And so that was really important to us, that people feel like they were empowered and like welcomed to do so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great. It makes it really entertaining. So
yeah, I do have to ask on a personal note.
Yes.
Because it's running wild in the chat. What prompted Amateurish Productions to make using channel points a literal way for chat to interact with the game as it happens? For those of you who don't know, in the chat there's an option to like spend your watch points for giving players inspiration, which lets them do another role, essentially altering the outcome of the story. So it's kind of like got this, like, yes, you're in the audience, but you can decide to really like mess with the crew in good or bad ways. So I'm just wondering, like, what brought that on? Because I never would have thought to like do it that way, considering you can fuck with the game so bad.
Seriously.
Chat can fuck with the game so
Chat
bad.
regularly gives me like quadruple disadvantage. So I'm rolling a lot of times before I get to finally be like, and that's my roll. It started out during a one shot with Pat Edwards, who I don't know if you guys know Pat Edwards. He's this great guy. We love.
Yeah, but you mean Pat Edwards for the reason that I'm on Amateurish Productions now, because it was his one shot that got me on the channel.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah,
Pat Edwards.
That might be Pat Edwards.
That guy.
Very handsome,
I'm
super funny.
Working on a great module for tabletop RPGs.
That sounds like the guy. Yeah.
Really terrible D&D puns, like constantly.
Truly. So he came on and he did Wayward Shores with us, and which was a blast. And I think at some point during the like run up to it, we're like, I feel like we should just be able to like have chat mess around with this and like be part of it, because it's a one shot and that makes it more fun and a little bit more chaotic, and who doesn't want a little bit more chaos, right? Even as a DM, I still find that my inner chaos gremlin just runs wild from time to time. And then I think I don't know that any of us had the heart to get rid of it afterwards. We're like, it's kind of fun, and it like I don't know. I think there's something to be said for like Critical Role does their stuff live, right? But they are in their studio, and that it's just them, and they're insulated from chat, which is a wonderful way of doing it, right? They tell a really incredible story, and they do it that way, and they are phenomenal at what they do. Then you have Dimension 20. It's pre-recorded. They release it on a weekly basis. Same deal. They're in their little dome. It's them, and they do an incredible job of what they do. You've got not another DMD podcast, which honestly, as far as DMing goes, I have learned probably the most from that, because Brian Murphy is one of the most incredibly talented DMs when it comes to keeping combat entertaining. And I don't know how he does it. It's like actual magic. And I want to speak with whatever demonic entity he signed a contract with to be as good as he is at what he does. But again, they record in a room and they're separate. And we're like, okay, what is one thing that we can do a little bit differently? And it's, actually interact with our chat. Like, is it a little bit disruptive sometimes? Sure. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that having our viewers be part of telling the story and be able to say like, hey, you know what, that crappy roll, nah, we're rooting for you, we want you to succeed on this, like here's some inspiration. Or like, you know what, DM, we just feel like messing with you because we think it's funny, like here's
no, it's we feel like messing with you because you made a groan joke.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It happens all the time. I love it. I love it. I think it's great. I think it really is akin to getting to like holler and hoot at a show, know, like it's got that sort of like burlesque aesthetic without the actual like
stripping.
You can hear the yelling, know, like they're kind of like yelling in the chat and you get to sort of like feed off of that. It's really, really fun. And I will never apologize for never using my inspirations when they're given to me, because I just believe that's what the dice said that time.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Or it's like, I'm going to sit on this inspiration till it's perfect.
Like absolutely necessary.
Till it's like, you've given me a story gift. I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And then I never use it.
Hey,
I love that. I think that ultimately in any of these spaces you have to find something that makes you unique, right? In the same way that we were like, well, we could just talk about TV and movies, but I feel like everybody does that. So how can we do it different? I think the channel points thing and making it approachable, all of that stuff, especially when there's so much D&D content out there and tabletop content out there, you need to have a reason for people to keep coming back to you. And I think that kind of stuff. Also, I love playing tabletop stuff. I've been doing it for years. It feels, I've been told by people on the outside who have never played it, completely unapproachable. And whether that's true or not, there's definitely a lot of media that gives off that vibe. And so I feel like that you guys being amateurish and being very much like, hey, we're learning, come learn with us, is really what makes y'all stand apart from all the other people out there.
That was the goal. Yeah, like we're never gonna be trying to show up like too polished. We pretty much always have some sort of an audio or technical issue of some kind.
I mean, that's just streaming, baby.
Hell yeah, absolutely.
That's just streaming.
But like, I feel like I talk about this a lot in this modern age of entertainment crafted in the literal second, broadcast to the world. The creation of the theater is also the theater. Like, yes, you get on and you're like, hey, what's up, geeks and gamers? Hey, is my sound weird today? Do I sound odd? Like, you do. And like, it's part of, it's kind of experiential as well. The fact that it's not polished, the fact that you have to just battle with OBS every time you want to stream,
damn time,
is kind of the fun of it, you know.
Yeah.
Where
it's the making the thing is part of the thing.
Yeah.
It's almost all of us having this weird access to Godot where it's just like, I'm gonna set the stage and then I'm gonna destroy the stage.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the instantaneous nature of all of this is what's appealing, and I really do, and I will say, like, as someone from within and someone from without, having experienced both actual plays and been a part of one, like, having the audience help craft the story is such a fun way to go about it. Like, you never think about the chaos of a dice roll because you're like, oh yeah, that's between 1 and 20, but then you've got the infinite chaos of someone who's watched 8 or 9 streams going, I got a lot of points to burn now, don't I? You know, and it almost makes the chat a player as well. Yeah. In a different way.
Totally.
They're as keyed into the game as we are. And that's so fucking cool, dude.
And I have no control over them. Right? At least with at least with my players, I can be like, actually, no. And with chat, I can't stop them. They're maniacs, and it's wonderful. I love it. I really love when they're like, either somebody's like, "Hey, chat, you want to give me some advantage on this?" Or
You mean when Katie
it's
decides to
when
do that.
Katie begs chat just shamelessly for advantage. Yes,
It's my
it's it
favorite.
it adds like a whole other layer of fun to it, and I really love it. I really love it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys keep making some of the coolest stuff I see out there, and I can't wait to see all the other cool stuff that you make. Before we start to wrap up the show, I would love for you, Ben, to tell folks where you can be found online, as well as where Amateurs Productions can be found online, and the kind of stuff you got going on.
Sweet. Yeah. So you can always find me on the internet at Ben_M_squared. That's Instagram and Twitter. I don't really use Instagram anymore. I don't know. But I'm on Twitter a fair bit. I don't know how you guys do the Twitter things, but I like hit it for a while and then I'm like, okay, whoa, I'm tapped out, and then I'll kind of like back off for a while and then I'll like go back in again.
Yeah, that's more or less accurate. I mean, a lot of my Twitter presence is shamelessly plugging all of the stuff I make, so that's kind of all I do now. That or complain about how hot a video game character is. I do that a lot too.
I mostly do like, here's an interesting thing that I did, or an interesting thing that I'm going to do. What else is going on? Oh God, no, I'm leaving. Bye.
Yes.
Gotta
It's like
go.
I open the door, I shout, and then I close the door again.
I very much feel that. Yeah. And then Amateurish you can find at Amateurish Productions on Twitch, on Twitter, on I think Instagram.
Yes.
We have a TikTok and
Yeah, you are on Instagram.
we are on
I've
Instagram?
tagged you on Instagram before.
Sick. We have a TikTok and we have a YouTube channel, which is where if like as VODs sort of age out from Twitch, everything ends up on YouTube. So for anyone who is maybe hearing this in the year 2027, assuming that we're all still alive, pop over to YouTube and you can watch any of the older videos that you might want to watch.
I'll be in my 40s by then.
And
Anyway,
Patchwork will still be alive.
yeah,
Definitely.
that's definitely. But awesome. Well, now hang tight. We're gonna thank some folks, and then we have to ask you our final question. So stew on that for a minute.
Ooh.
Rachel, let's thank some folks.
Yes. First, thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble. It's a
Also,
smash.
thank you. It is a smash. It's true. Also, thank you to the incredible Katie Bug, who designed our brilliant podcast logo. We love it to death, still to this day. I love that Rachel occasionally just dyes their hair back to the color of the logo just to make things even, you know?
It's just part of my soul. The pink
part of
is
the
in my
balance.
soul.
The pink is in your soul.
I had to wear a wig a lot the past couple days, and I was like, I'm disconnected from my
From
essence.
the pink, from the pink. And then, of course, we also have to thank New Dad, an incredible episode show artist.
Never.
One Case Aiken, who designs the
thanks.
individual show artwork for each episode. If you were listening on Spotify
Yeah.
or other platforms, that unique show art per
no.
episode that you see is designed by New Dad Case Aiken.
No, to put it in Case Aiken's terrible punctuation, no, period, thanks, period.
And then
Cursed
Rachel,
my
shouldn't we?
cat. I got a promo about Case Aiken on my stream the other day.
Amazing.
That's how deep this feud goes. It's
That's true.
cross media, baby.
And seemingly
No thanks.
one-sided. Rachel, why don't you also thank the folks that give us a home?
It will as soon as I'm done dying.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm funny sometimes.
Oh,
That was delightful.
that
Yeah.
ruled. That ripped, dude.
That
broke
slapped
me.
real hard.
Ooh,
Yeah, I have my
Ooh.
moments.
I'm gonna start a feud with you. That was so good.
Another one-sided feud. Hey, between the two of them, you can have a full actual feud.
Wow.
It's true.
Finally, my whole dreams coming true. I have no feuds with the rest of this beautiful network of folks. The Certain Point of View podcast network. You can check out all the shows that are available over at certainpov.com. And don't ask me to name them. I did them all a couple episodes ago. The bit's dead.
Done. It's done.
Rest
It's
in
done.
peace. The bit.
It's done.
Rest in peace. That's what I'll say. Three word review for that bit. Rest in peace.
In peace. There you go. You can also find a permanent invite link to our Discord server in the show notes, as well as a direct link to Apple Podcasts to rate and review this show. If you listen to Spotify, you can rate us there as well. And I think a bunch of other podcast platforms also allow you to rate and review. Please do. It helps us find more listeners.
Yell at a bird.
Yell at a bird. That's always a good bit.
Yeah, just yell at it.
Just yell at it.
That one will never die.
And then you can also find us.
Yell at a bird about Screen Snark.
You can find us on Twitter at @screen_snark. You can find me at DJ_stormageddon. You can find Rachel at I am Rachel Quirky.
Yeah, you can find us if you ask a bird politely.
That's true too. And then you can also send us an email at screensnarkpod@gmail.com if you want to yell at us or tell us what the bird said.
Yeah.
All
If
right.
the bird talks back to you, you're in trouble, though.
Yeah, it's true. It's
The
probably a
bird
magic
is not
bird.
meant. If the bird speaks back to you,
Could be the
run.
Sandman. You could be. Could
run.
be.
That
Patton
bird is
Oswalt.
that bird is just for intaking information
It's true.
and not regurgitating any. Run, get out of there. That is a false bird.
Rachel,
What?
please
I'm
ask our
broken.
please ask our guest our final question.
Fine. I just wanted to make sure that no one got
I
in
know,
trouble
I
from a
understand.
false bird.
Stay away from that
I understand.
regurgitating bird.
Terrible. Terrible trope that I just made up. The false bird, which is a
false
great
bird.
segue into my final question. Ben.
Smooth.
It feels so strange to only be with you for an hour. Can I just say that first of all? It's like we're done already.
Oh,
Whoa! It's like it was 5 minutes. What are you talking about, Ben? But I am delighted to know once and for all, if you could choose any one trope to instantly and magically become true in your life, which trope would you choose? Mine is false bird now.
you can't use that one.
Can't use false bird.
I mean, you could use false bird, but it hasn't been popularized in film or TV yet.
At all.
At all.
Fair.
We'll just have to put it on the Jersey Shore.
Ah.
Those
how,
false birds.
how dare you do this to me?
Always will give you gifts, my friend. Always. You can take them, you can use them, you can keep them. False birds.
I mean, does just developing like feuds randomly with people count as a trope? Like not serious feuds, but just like we're like nemesis now. Is that a thing?
Ooh, you like the strong arm,
Yeah.
where it's just like,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch, and you're like best friends.
Yeah, like you're friends, but like we're like arch rivals now. Yeah.
Like arch
Yeah.
Ooh, a
rivals.
good
Yeah.
good rivalry.
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah, I love a good rivalry.
solid, healthy rivalry.
Yeah, it'd be fun.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah.
It'd be
It's
fun.
like, you like respect one another, but like
Yeah.
boy, when you go head to head, it's just fireworks.
Yeah.
It's like the Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog dynamic.
It's like things I can't talk about in John Wick 4.
How dare you?
There you go. How dare you.
Unbelievable.
Uh,
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Ben, thank you for joining us.
Thank
This
Thank
was
you for
wonderful.
having me. This is wonderful. You guys are great.
I'm inclined, nay, obligated to thank my brilliant and shockingly smart co-host, Rachel Quirky Shank.
I'm shockingly smart.
Yeah, nobody
And
expects it.
On this episode, on the false bird episode,
On the
you
false
just-
bird
I
episode,
say
which
that
is a thing.
I'm incredibly smart. Are you sure about that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Oh man,
I smell a
Well,
rivalry.
I simply must thank my modern spaghetti western co-host, Matt, aka Stormageddon.
I've been called worse. And we need to thank you, our incredible listeners.
Yeah.
We will see you at the movies or possibly on a couch somewhere.
You bunch of false
Bye.
birds.
Pray we
Bye.
sleep. Pray we sleep.
Please. Bye.
Pray for us.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
Hi, I'm Matt, aka Stormageddon, and I'm the host of CPOV Autographs at CertainPOV.com. It is a bi-weekly interview series where I interview folks from all over the arts, from writers to comedians to magicians to musicians, even actors, historians, podcasters, pretty much anyone who's willing to chat with me for a little bit. If you like interesting conversations with even more interesting people, go to CertainPOV.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And remember, music is life, and life is good.
CPOV. CertainPOV.com.